Okay, folks, welcome to the Maths for Science module, which is now delivered 100% online in light of COVID. So this lecture, guys, is really just an introduction to the Maths module. Now, make sure you take a few notes because there will be a little quiz at the end of it, just to give you a flavour for how things run. But don't worry, guys, there's no marks assigned to this quiz. So you will have a little test that you can take at the end of this video, but it's just to give you an idea of how things will run throughout the semester. So every time I give you a wee lecture, we'll also have a little online test based on that lecture. I'll explain as I go along. So this is me, Dave Doyle. This is my email address, doyle.david@itsligo.ie. Some of the program chairs asked us to give you a little bit of an overview of who we are, etc. So here goes. So this is me. Now, usually, I've changed my pen. Usually with glasses these days, I'm afraid old age is creeping up. And I basically studied to be a mechanical engineer in UCD. So I graduated back in the early 90s. We were doing 8 hours of maths a week, which was pretty challenging. But in the summers, I used to go traveling to America to try and earn money to stay in college, and I learned how to be a chef. So when I graduated, there was actually no jobs in Ireland for engineers. It was a major recession about 1992. So I took my chefing skills, went traveling, went to Australia, went to America, and in Australia then learned how to surf. So spent 2 or 3 years traveling around Australia, stuff like that. And then read about Sligo in a surf magazine, and I was fascinated. So when I came home, moved to Sligo, worked in a few restaurants, and then very luckily got a job here in IT Sligo, based on my qualifications in engineering, not on my chefing skills. Got married to the most beautiful, lovely lady in the world, and then took up jiu-jitsu as well. So there's a very good club in Sligo for Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So now I mainly spend my time minding my lovely wife, my dog Bella, and Stupid Cat is another member of our household. She hasn't actually got her name. She's just called Stupid Cat. So that's me, folks. That's just a quick overview of my lifestyle in my life in a couple of pictures. And this, guys, is really why we're here. You do not want to be in this scenario. So I'll just let you read it. I won't read it out to you. But essentially, an experiment went very, very badly wrong. Students were given 30 grams of caffeine instead of 0.3. So that's 100-fold overdose. So, and you can see here, fatalities have often been recorded at just 18 grams. So this was a potentially fatal dose of caffeine administered to 2 students. Students were admitted to intensive care for dialysis. And this is the scary thing. The calculation had been done by staff on a mobile phone and the decimal point in the wrong place. So this, guys, for these staff, this could very potentially have been manslaughter charges. As it is, it's absolutely career ending. You know, to make a mistake like that, to cause such injury to people, pretty certain these staff would be no longer employed. So this, guys, is what we're trying to avoid. That's the whole point of what we're trying to do in this course. This course is to help you make these simple errors. And simple errors, guys, can have devastating consequences. And you're legally culpable if you're the person who made the error. So it's very important, guys. This isn't about getting the right answer and stuff like that. It's really about applying good, solid methods when you're going about your calculations. And that's my main focus in this module. So what will you learn? So as I said, my main focus is just to give you a little bit of confidence. Everyone has an innate mathematical ability. A lot of people doubt their ability, but it's simply because you haven't practiced enough. Same as anything, martial arts. No no black belt ever walked into his dojo and suddenly started throwing around everybody in the place. He starts as a white belt and through an awful lot of practice and pain and suffering eventually reaches the level of a black belt. It's the same with maths. You don't have this brilliant skill. Oh, I can't do maths. It's because you haven't practiced it enough. That's all. So you will get an opportunity, really, guys, to reset your maths. You'll kind of find the Leaving Cert isn't much use to you in this course because we're actually going right back to basics. And this is our overall aim, is to transform you from these students, both interested students and not so interested. This is what we want to transform you into: competent and professional scientists. So you'll have 4 hours a week for maths. 2 of these are lectures. These are with me. These will be pre-recorded, guys. I'll talk about that. And then you've got 2 hours of tutorials with Akin, my good friend and trusted colleague, Akin Lolu Akande. So Akin will be running the tutorials and I'll be running the lectures. And I'm going to try, guys, and run a couple of extra tutorials at the start in the lecture slots. But I'll explain that as we go along. 100% remote delivery, so you won't be required to come on campus for maths. And this, guys, is a typical timetable. So here we can see a maths lecture with me, and here's another one. So generally, if you see my name on the slot, D. Doyle, you can be sure that's a lecture. And what's very important, guys, at that time, in the last quarter hour of this lecture, a little CA quiz is going to open up. And every lecture, this will happen. Every week, every lecture, a test is going to open up. So you need to have watched the lecture. You can either choose to watch it in the time slot you're given, or I would suggest you try and watch it beforehand. And there'll always be quizzes. There'll be a quiz then based on that lecture. It only opens for the last 15 minutes. So you got to be on the ball. You got to have your stuff ready. And that, guys, is going to churn away through the semester. You also then will have 2 tutorials a week. Now, this timetable, guys, I took a photograph of this 2 or 3 days ago. So even if you're in the health science department, do not use this timetable. Go online and find out what the exact times are. But this is what everyone's timetable will look like. You have 2 maths lectures and 2 tutorials. Tutorials attendance is voluntary. You don't have to show up. We used to make people show up, but we won't this year. And ideally with tutorials, guys, you could email myself or Akin with any problems. Just take a little picture of it, send it to Akin or me, and we'll take care of them then into tutorials. So it's a very much a hands-on course, guys. From Monday the 5th of October, you need to be ready and you need to be ready to roll. Like your first tests will be next week. I'll probably leave them open for the week just to get you settled in. But following that, we'll be moving fairly strictly. So just be aware of that. I'll talk about the assessment in more detail later on. But just be aware, 2 maths lectures and 2 tutorials every week. At the end of these lectures, you have to do a test, and it only opens, guys, for that time slot, the last 15 minutes of your scheduled lecture. Each group has different times for the lecture, so there's different sets of quiz tests opening at different times, but just follow your own timetable and everything will be clear. Everything we do, guys, is based on Moodle. So everything we need is on Moodle. The recorded lectures will be posted there, your CA tests, the links to tutorial classrooms, support videos, quizzes based on the material, forums where you can ask questions or we can communicate with you, and resources like notes, stuff like that. So pretty much everything, guys, you need is on Moodle. And I'll just quickly take us to our Moodle page. And here, as soon as you're looking at the dolphin, you know you're on the right page. We'll scroll down. And here, guys, the first topic will open next week. And we can take a look and all the stuff will be in there. So that's the idea. On Monday, this topic will open. Your lectures will be here. I'll have a new slot with lectures, recorded lectures. Then you have notes, etc., etc. The blue ones are the guys, are the things you'll see, guys. I just have some old stuff that's hidden away from last year. And here, guys, we have support videos. So there's little videos I've recorded which show you how to do the things you're most likely to struggle with. So that's the idea. I'll come back and take a look at the quiz in a little minute. We go back to here. So, like I said at the start, guys, we're going right back to fundamentals. Looking at basic operations, plus, minus, divide, subtract. Then we look at decimals, fractions, ratios and percentages, powers, scientific notation, logs. People tend to struggle a bit with logs. And then we start, so this, guys, is really setting up our basic arithmetic skills. Then we start to move into the more science realm of things here. So this is where we start to apply our basic skills in a more rigorous scientific fashion. Each of these, guys, would generally be one topic per week. Sometimes it won't flow that evenly, but generally you can assume there'll be one of these new topics every week. There'll be quizzes associated with it, and there'll also be tests associated with the lectures on that topic. This is the bit that makes everyone cry, guys. No calculators. So the whole course is designed about you demonstrating your understanding. It's a little bit harder to police now that you guys are all at home, but I am going to be doing my very, very best to make sure that you're leaving the calculator behind as you work your way through the material. So this picture usually gets 120 kids groaning in horror, but I do miss that reaction. But hopefully you're at home like this little kid groaning in horror. But don't worry, guys, it's the same as I was saying with the martial arts. You need to get the fundamentals right before you can start being skilled at the more complex moves. And that's what we're aiming to do. So please don't see this maths as something really, oh no, this is going to be really hard. This is a chance for you to reset. And if you're one of those people who, like me, guys, I struggled through maths all the way up to the Leaving Cert. I failed maths regularly. I know exactly what it's like to struggle with maths. I did it myself for the 15 out of the first 20 years of my life. And then kind of, for some reason, chose engineering. And after 8 hours of maths a week, you tend to get your head around it. So how will things be assessed? So there's quizzes, guys. I'll quickly take a look at the quiz. No, I have another slide and I'll talk about the quizzes. So there's Moodle quizzes. These are different to the tests. So each topic has at least one quiz, and you have to keep trying the quiz until you get 100%. I'll talk about this later on. That's worth 20%. There's about 15 quizzes all together, I think, in the module. Then, guys, there's the CA tests. So these open very briefly. They only open for the last 15 minutes of each lecture. So you have to have watched your lecture in order to do this test, because the tests are specifically based on the lecture that's just preceded it. So that's worth 50%. There's going to be 20 of these tests. Each test is worth 2.5%. So attendance, this is the way, guys, I ensure attendance. Then at the end, guys, there'll be an end of module assessment, and this will kind of be a summary test where probably select, I haven't decided yet fully, but probably 20 questions from the quizzes and then 10 questions from the lectures. So we'll talk about that as we move along. So that, guys, is where your 100% comes from. But it's really important, guys, that you're continually working away every week to earn these marks. My nephew told me WTF means where's the fractions, so I'll believe him, even though he was chortling madly when he said it. So this is how it goes. Every Monday morning, a new topic will open on Moodle. There'll be 2 recorded lectures in there. When you're watching those lectures, you want to try and find the hidden password. That's what allows you to get into the test. You want to take note of any concepts I'm discussing. And then I'll always set 2 to 5 problems in the lecture. You need to, guys, attempt those problems because you're going to be asked about them in the test or in the end of module exam. So you need to keep neat notes. As you'd watch each lecture, you need to take notes and go, here's question 1, 2, lecture 1, question 2. I need to make sure I have recorded that answer and how I recorded it. Yeah, record the answer and how I achieved the answer. How I achieved that answer. So there'll be 2 timed, so there'll be 20 of these CA tests. And then, like I said, there's 15 Moodle quizzes. So each topic, guys, has 2 tests and at least 1 quiz associated with it. You have 2 weeks to get 100% on the quizzes, but the tests, you have 1 attempt and that's it. And that's what's recorded. So you have only 1 shot at the tests. You have infinite numbers of attempts on the quizzes. There's videos to help you work your way through stuff. There's notes and other resources as well. So this is all the stuff that's posted on Moodle. There's also 2 one-hour tutorials each week, so you can ask any questions you may have, either about the Moodle quizzes or about the lectures or anything to do with the module at all, really. And at the end of the module, there'll be an assessment based on the quizzes and also some of the questions from the lecture. So make sure you keep your notes neat and tidy. So just quick review again, the Moodle quizzes. So if you only get 100% in half the quizzes, guys, then you'll get half the marks. So some people often worry that you have to get 100% in all the quizzes or else you get 0. No, it's a pro rata. The more quizzes you get 100% in, the more of this mark you'll be securing. But any score, guys, less than 100% doesn't count. So if you get 90% in all the quizzes, you'll still get 0, the same as somebody who got 1% in all the quizzes. So you got to get 100% in each quiz. At the end of each lecture, there is a short online test based on that lecture, and the password for the test is hidden somewhere in the lecture. The test is usually 5 to 10 minutes long, and it's only open for the last 15 minutes of the lecture. So it's like a little clam that sits and it only opens for 10-15 minutes. You've got to get in there, do your test, and then the clam closes again. And that's it. Doesn't open again. 1 shot. You've got to have your lecture watched and your notes taken. And then, guys, sitting through this test is going to be fairly easy. If you haven't watched the lecture, you can pretty much wave those marks goodbye. Like I said then, end of module assessment based on the lectures and on the quizzes. So like I said, 30 randomly selected questions from the quizzes and the lectures. So now, guys, pay attention, because here's the password for the first test. Now, this first test, guys, there's no marks associated with it, but I'll talk you through Moodle shortly. But that's your first password, Poodle, all lowercase, and you need that to get into your test. So and these passwords, guys, are going to appear at random anywhere in the lecture. I won't talk about it. I won't draw your attention to the password. You got to be watching the screen and keeping your eyes open. So take note of the password, Poodle. You're going to need that for your CA test. And obviously the password changes with each lecture. They'll all be animals. I'll give you that clue. So what are the quizzes? So each quiz, guys, is based on the current topic, and each question bank, now I've actually got a little infinity engine working. So some of the quizzes, guys, will have an infinite number of questions in them because the numbers change at random within the question. every time you attempt a quiz, about 8 to 12 questions will appear randomly. You attempt those, there's usually a 50-minute limit on the quiz. You attempt those, you submit your answers. If you get 100%, you're home free. But if you don't, you have to reattempt the quiz at a time that suits you, but there'll be another different 8 or 12 questions appear. So every time you attempt the quiz, it resets and sets you a new set of questions. So you have unlimited attempts at the quiz. You can keep going at it. One of my favorite students from long ago, Henry, went at one quiz 67 times. And then he discovered he was putting in a comma where he was a German student. He's putting in a comma where he should have been putting in a decimal point. So that was a hard lesson. You must score 100% within the deadline. So Moodle will tell you when each quiz is closing. I'll open these up. And your highest score is recorded. So if you achieve 100% in a quiz and then you never get 100% again in all your subsequent attempts, your 100% will be recorded. Moodle always records your highest score, and that'll never be lowered. So I'll just quickly take you to the quizzes. And we just see if we can open one up. I prefer to get the... sorry guys. Yeah, I'm looking for a particular quiz. It seems to have moved. Oh, here we are. It's moved a little bit. Yeah, this is the first topic. So here, guys, we're looking at powers. I'll just move on a little bit. Yeah. And here, this is my favorite type of quiz. This is called Wirrus. When you see this little box here appearing. And here, guys, we're asked a question. Figure out this problem. Now, really what I'm looking here for is the double negative. So this problem will become 10 to the power of 2 because of the double negative plus 4. So my answer is going to be 10 to the power of 6. Now I have two choices, guys. I can go, okay, I need a power. I click here. And now you can see, and then I can type in 10 and move the little arrow and I get my little 6 like that. So that's one way of doing it. Some people like to use this editor. I kind of do as well. But this is very clever here, guys. See the little hand with the squiggle? Alternatively, we could just pick this, and you can either draw with your finger. Now I have a stylus, but I'll just do it with my finger to show you how it works. And you can see down here in the lower right, Moodle actually makes a good estimation of what it thinks you're writing. And if you're happy enough with that, then you just submit it. And that's her then. So you just go on to the next page. So that's your answer. Whatever is written down in the bottom right corner is your answer to be submitted. We go on to the next page. And again, the little box will appear. And I'll just write in, say, 16. I have no idea what the answer is. And off we go again. So that's the way the quiz works, guys. We'll just keep going. I'll keep going to the end. Bumpity bum bum bum. And finish attempt. And you can see it's only saved the two answers. They're the two I wrote into the little text box. I'm going to submit. Submit all and finish. Moodle will slowly. It's a bit slow this year, but I think it'll speed up. And now we can see, guys, I only got 1.25 out of 10. I got 13%. And Moodle will take you back and tell you what the right answers were. So that always helps you kind of improve your maths. How did I go wrong? Oh, I only made a small mistake. So now, guys, as a student, I'm going to have to go back and attempt that quiz again. So I'll finish my review. And literally, I have to go and start again. So I won't get into all the details of that. I have a different set of buttons than you guys because I'm the module owner. You guys would see try a new attempt. So we'll go back to the PowerPoint again, guys. And that's the idea of the quizzes. So like I said, if you get 100%, you'll never score lower than that. That mark will never be removed. So now, guys, I need you to get your pens out. This is where we're going to do some problems. And notice the way the questions are labelled. So each lecture, you'll be given questions, but this is lecture 0, question 1. So lecture 0, question 1. In your end of module assessment, guys, I could just simply ask you, what's the answer to question 5.3? And I will say nothing else in the exam other than that. So you have to have your notes prepared and go, oh, question 5.3. Okay, I've done this earlier. Here's the answer. And you just key in that answer. So every time I set questions in a lecture, guys, you are expected to do them. This is college. Now you'll notice I have the little pause button here. So the pause button just means I'm going to keep going. You guys have a go at this problem. Write out your answer. Don't get your calculators, guys. There's no marks going for this test. Just have a go. This problem seemingly broke the internet a few months ago. I was laughing because I've been using this problem for years, but it appeared on the internet and it's very confusing, guys. It's a tricky problem. If you do get the right answer, you're doing very well. So sit down with a little pen and just have a go at it. Pause the video until you're finished. And now we look at problem 2. So pepperoni pizza is a 6-inch pepperoni pizza is 1,000 calories. How many calories is there in a 12-inch pepperoni pizza? And again, pause the video, figure out your answer, write it down somewhere where you'll find it, and I'll just keep going. So again, guys, you're expected to write an answer to this. Again, this is a tricky question, so be careful. Division of fractions. So say if I asked you to do this, would you be able to do it? And again, guys, with a calculator, problem 1 and problem 3, you certainly bash it out. Calculator give you the answer, amazing. But if you don't understand where that answer came from, now you're one of those staff members back in Northumbria University who doesn't understand that 30 grams of caffeine is not the same as 0.3 grams. So it's very important, guys, what I'm trying to do is make sure you have a firm understanding of the foundations of maths. That's what the course is about. Don't worry if you can't do this stuff, guys. I don't expect you to. But I'm just running my own little test to see what answers people kind of give. So please don't use a calculator, guys. Write down your answer and enter it. I don't look at people's individual marks for this quiz, but I just want to see, are people okay with various bits, etc., etc. So we're nearly finished, guys. How do I ask any questions? Either email me, you can email Akin. I should have put his email address up. It's Akande. I'll send it out. So please ask the tutorial. Please use tutorial. So email myself, email Akin, and we'll cover your questions then in the tutorial. And there's also then, guys, the Math Support Center running. So I'll be posting up a little video for that and putting links up. So Kevin is really friendly, guys. He's a lovely guy. Kevin runs the Math Support Center with another guy called Killian. It's a free service, guys. They'll be doing everything online for the first couple of weeks, and we're hoping to run face-to-face classes then as things settle in. The timetable is up on Moodle on my page up in the first section. Please use the Math Support Center, guys, if you're beginning to feel you're slipping a little bit or anything like that. So it's a free service. Basically, these people are paid to help you in your college journey. So just a few of my past students' experiences. I'll just let you read them. So this was Pat. I remember Pat was very nervous at the start because, like he said, he hadn't been in school in 20 years and never really liked maths anyway. But came out feeling, as I love to hear, he's a bit of confidence. And that's all I'm looking for, guys, is just to try and give you a bit of confidence in your own ability. And confidence then is half any battle. This is Anna. The language, guys, is exactly as it was posted up in surveys, so it's not me spelling badly if you notice any spelling errors. So most students like the quizzes, even though they wreck their heads. I always kind of I get very funny feedback from Moodle quizzes, like people getting 9 out of 10. They're both delighted and raging at the same time, because 9 out of 10 is great. 90% of the stuff, but it's not good enough. So so that's Sean. Oh, this is Sarah, yeah. I love that, hence rendering my brain lazy. So Sarah, I heard, is now actually completed a PhD, I believe, from DCU in advanced nanobiotechnology. So she wrote this obviously quite a few years ago, but her career path has brought her into some fairly serious research. So that, guys, is just some student experiences. And finally, my lovely wife sent me this video. So this, guys, is what we're kind of facing.
When you hear Dr. Anthony Fauci, for example, who's on the Vice President's Health Commission on COVID, say that by wearing a mask you're helping to stop the spread, what do you think of that?
He's a liar.
And why is that?
Because I don't believe the numbers.
So that's it, folks. That's what we're facing. So I'll finish up here, but remember,
when you hear
the numbers need you. Because when there's people like this out in society, science is in a troubled place. So I wish you all the best in your module. I hope we'll get to know each other virtually, and hopefully next semester things will be a bit more face-to-face. But we're going to have to wait and see. So now, guys, your video is finished. Now you go on to Moodle, and you're going to be taking a look for the little girl who's crying. Here, there she is. I just saw her there briefly. So you click on here, and your first CA test will be available there. So thanks again, folks. And yeah, welcome to the module.